Thanks, David, and I'm really delighted to be here this morning, so thank you so much to Richard and the team for inviting me to Canberra today. And listening to that introduction, I think I'll take off the year that I completed my degree, so you don't need to calculate how old I am on the eve of a birthday. So, look, I'm really excited to share. Josh and I will just take you through very quickly a joint project that we've been working on. It's been a labour of love for the last couple of years now, and I'll set a bit of a scene for you, and then Josh will take you through some of the detail. I always like to start with this slide, although David has introduced our Cerebral Palsy Alliance, formerly the Spastic Centre, which many of you may know better than Cerebral Palsy Alliance. This slide, I guess, really centres and focuses our organisation. We're a mission-based organisation with unashamedly a very clear cause and a very clear purpose. And the reason I guess I wanted to introduce this morning with that slide is I think from my perspective, when we're supporting people with change, we're trying to influence them, inspire them, particularly with very challenging work, keeping them really focused on a cause, whatever the cause is in your world, and having a mission and a focus and a purpose not only helps internally drive change, but it's incredibly powerful when you're working with a range of stakeholders, and particularly with this project we were. And for me, ultimately, the measure of success is ensuring that we hold to our mission. So for us, it's definitely about people with cerebral palsy. That's why we exist, and our mission is building futures. And what a future that is unfolding for us at the moment. Of course, I've checked the guest list, and I understand a bit of a sense of where you're all from in government departments. So we're on the cusp of transformational change in our sector. Certainly in my career, it's the biggest reforms that I'll experience, and I've been around for a while. And I guess, you know, we've been an enormous supporter, particularly of the NDIS, our organisation. Our CEO sits on senior national committees to support the change, and we're extremely hopeful of a brighter future for all the individuals in Australia living with a disability today. It doesn't come without its challenges though, and the marketplace is really going to go through a very challenging time. What do we know is afoot? Well, of course, disability is incredibly common. In Australia, there's over 18% of people living with some form of disability in our country, and of that 18%, 6% would be recognised as having quite a severe or profound disability. The need for disability support is absolutely growing, and that's primarily related to population growth, but also related to ageing. And we're predicting that by 2030 there'll be approximately 2.2 million people living with a disability in our country. So the people challenge for us is enormous, and certainly what they're predicting is that the workforce over the next few years is going to double. So that, is very exciting, but it also creates some significant challenges for us, because people and workforce is already a challenge. Trying to recruit and encourage and attract people to the disability sector is already very, very difficult. So the strategy for us over the last few years has been really looking at how can we get in early, how can we really try to tackle that people challenge and really try to lead change in the sector. And I guess for us, ultimately, it's looking at how we can attract the next generation of workers to the sector, or, unashamedly, how can we convert people who have fantastic transferable skills to our sector, and for them to really see it as a legitimate, attractive career proposition. So that's ultimately what we're aiming to do. We don't care if they come and work with us, we just want them to come and work in the sector, because that strengthens the marketplace for everybody, and ultimately helps us with our mission. So we've partnered with Workstar, and we were very, very fortunate to get New South Wales Government support and funding. And really what we were hoping to do was increase our reach and increase our footprint. The innovation for us was dragging us out of a culture of face-to-face training and a culture of trying to bring people to us. And we knew that that wasn't going to be sustainable in the long term, and we really wanted to start looking at much more innovative, safe, virtual learning environments, virtual learning classrooms, but also looking, we knew there was already quite a bit out there. There's online learning has exploded, and so how are we going to differentiate ourselves? How are we going to really influence people's learning and attract them to the sector? And Josh will share a bit more about that. And ultimately for us, it's not just about skills, knowledge and capability. For us, it's definitely about confidence. Our experience has been people have an interest in human services, have an interest in making a difference in people's lives, but quite often when it comes to working with a person with a disability, there's a real lack of confidence or a little bit of fear, and they're often unsure about sharing that. So how can we ensure that we can get a confident workforce? So this is our solution. We're absolutely delighted and very excited that we launched this solution at the end of last year. So essentially we have developed an online learning platform. We're not interested in your EQ, we're not interested in your IQ, we're interested in your DQ, and so that's what we've called the platform. We want to advance your disability quotient, we want you to learn with us. And we, in terms of trying to influence anyone who is learning with us, whether you're in the sector now or whether you're potentially the next generation of the workforce coming into the sector, we're strongly influencing what capabilities we think you need to be framed up with. And so the metrics that we've designed all the way through the platform assesses your DQ in three key areas. We want the workforce to be very person-centred in their approach. All the reform is around a person-centred, individualised marketplace. We want workers to be very evidence-based in their decision-making, in whatever role they're in, management, allied health, support worker roles. And we need a workforce that can be very goal-oriented and very focused on an individual's goals and aspirations. So it's been wonderful to weave all of that metric and influence people. The first course online program that we've developed and now launched into the sector is called Disability Dynamic. This was specifically tailored to reaching the next generation of allied health students. We have two key talent pools that we recruit to in the sector in terms of frontline workers. One is allied health and one are direct disability support workers. So they're our two key markets that we're wanting to reach. So with the support of the New South Wales Government, we decided to start with allied health and really try and reach them much sooner than getting to us for their work experience placements. We know if we can influence their learning early, and we know that if we can get them to feel confident enough to do a placement with us, that 1 in 2 of them actually changes their mind and decides actually a career in the disability sector is not a bad idea. I think it's one for me. So what we really love about this solution is we've mapped it to the university curriculum. We definitely see our stakeholders as the students, we see our stakeholders as the lecturers and of course the universities and the actual faculties themselves. And what they were telling us they wanted and they needed was to bring the theory to life. We weren't wanting to duplicate any of the good work that the universities were doing, but they wanted the richness of industry and they wanted the richness of real stories of real people. And that's what I'm most proud of with this particular program. It's incredibly authentic. So if you're a first-year speech pathologist student, you'll have the opportunity to be exposed to the lives of 9 people who live with a disability across all different ages. You'll get to see the informal support networks around them, their families, their friends, and also the formal supports and services. And all the people that we used were real workers. across a range of different disability organisations, and we actually used the real issues and stories that were happening in their lives at that time and are showing students the real resources, processes, systems that our organisations actually use. So it's a very industry-led learning experience to complement all of the theory in the university curriculum and programs. And, you know, I'd just like to say an enormous thank you and acknowledge all of the people that joined us. They gave up a lot of weekends, a lot of early mornings, a lot of filming, but they did love the hair and the makeup, which all was freely provided. So they were all very spoilt for the filming. So look, to close, and before Josh comes up to give you a little bit more of the detail of the solution, we'd just like to give you a little bit of a snapshot of the look and feel of Disability Dynamic. Delighted to introduce Adrian. He's one of our volunteers who was very willing to share his story. Adrian is the most delightful man. He's such a gentleman. It's such a pleasure to know him. He is 68 years old. He's retired now. He was one of the original children that came to the Spastic Centre in 1945 when we opened our doors. He's been with us for 60 years. And he calls us his family, essentially. But what I love about Adrian is his absolute willingness to give back to community. He's absolutely delighted to be sharing his life and his lessons and his stories, his strong attitudes and beliefs about how it should be done. And, you know, he really wants genuinely to influence the next generation of the workforce coming through this wonderful sector. So without further ado, I'll introduce Adrian's story to you.